All right, it is 10:12 a.m. and I've been considering more doing longer term setups, not necessarily something quick like I have been because I've been thinking about it and I don't really know anybody who day trades OTCs, gets in and out maybe 10 minutes max and just really profitable and makes a whole bunch of money. So I've been trying to think of things that maybe take a longer period of time. I did see this turnaround here this morning, panic bounce play, but I was too jaded to trade it because it seems like they just don't really work. But I like this one in particular because, as you can see, I have these two levels, 191 and 216, and the idea is that it had a big drop these 2 days right here where it got as low as this point right here, and then it opened a bit higher, and the low here was 191, as you can tell right there. 191, and then the next day the low was 216. So I do like how we were dropping and then it broke under that 191 level, so maybe it caused to like max panic, and then once it was showing signs that it was going to turn around and it broke past the trend line, that was a move from the 187 price point as high as $2.05. I just didn't trade it because I was just too jaded, but I did like it later. I thought this could be something where it has this gap down on everything and it's down on the day and it had like the sell off and bounces back. And I thought maybe it could do something where it could be like a higher low off of this level and then eventually turn around. So I did take a consideration in buying. Dude, my throat is so dry. I have no idea why, but I was in 100 shares at 956 right here, and that was at 191. And it got to VWAP way too quickly. I didn't like that because ideally I thought this could be like a higher low. It can work itself out. And I was thinking that if it was going to break this 188 level, it was going to be like something where maybe the pattern might be broken. I got in the setup. Didn't like how quickly it got to VWAP. I did sell a portion, just 30 shares at 195. That was at 957. And the next minute, it seems like right here, it got to VWAP just too quickly. I wanted it to be slow so that maybe it could break past VWAP and uptrend even more because it has good momentum. This was just a little too sporadic. I did hold on to this setup and wow, really need a drink of water. I did get out the rest at 187 at 10:03 when it looked like it was going to break this range low, and it did, and we were getting prints under. It actually held, but I consider the idea that maybe it was going to break this level and then it would just keep downtrending because the pattern failed. And that wouldn't be something that I'm interested in. But it just held it, so that's fine for what it was. Maybe it could have risked a day low instead, and then I would still be holding on to the setup, perhaps. But then I would have had to have held through this, and this doesn't look that nice either. So that was that one trade, and then I had another one right here at 10:11. I thought maybe the price action because somebody just kept selling two, three, four, 5,000 shares, just dumping it at the bid. Was finally just taken out because if you look at the volume, it looks like the volume was just fading at this point. So maybe all of that selling price action that was making the stock look ugly, is gone, and now it can try to uptrend and, not maybe get all the way back to where it was, but at least uptrend some more, and that could be something to trade and hold for a longer period of time. And I did just buy 100 shares at I'll say 191 at 10:11 right here. And yeah, essentially I just thought I'm not gonna buy it unless it actually breaks 190. I don't want to be that guy who gets in because it looks like it's gonna break 190, which is like a mini resistance level right here, and then it doesn't actually break past it, and then it sells off. So I just thought if we see any prints past 190, I'll be interested. I did buy, but I actually got out of this one very quickly because as soon as we got into the 190s and ideally start to uptrend and maybe reverse over a longer period of time, that stupid big seller, dumping 5,000 shares came back, and I just thought, all right, well, this is killing the pattern. I thought, the volume was fading so that it could, now uptrend, and I guess the volume is starting to come back a little more, at least compared to this range right here. And I got out of it very quickly for a slight profit at 191. It was just essentially me getting out of the trade, cutting it quickly because I just figured that, with the volume dropping and everything, it was going to turn around. But, those big sells at the bid came back and I just didn't want to be a part of it. But it looks like it's trying to work itself through, and it is above VWAP at this point, and I'll see what it can do over a longer period of time. But I just didn't want to trade it because it was just, that price action just came back after it stopped for a while, and it was starting to break above this 190 level. So I'll make an update later. I am looking at CRTD for a longer term setup. I like how, we had a top here at 168 and then we had a double top. So it kind of meant that it's stronger in my opinion because it got to that price point twice, even though it didn't break above it. And it sold off right here, just like the way it did right here. And, I want to be considering something where I can risk $1 breaking and, I could be in a potential trade in over a longer period of time, perhaps they can try to make a move towards the upside again. Maybe not necessarily break this 170 level, but maybe if it could just not even do that well and kind of get to 130, that would be kind of cool. So I'll be considering that for a longer term setup. NWBO isn't that bad either. Well, it doesn't really show that it can run for more than, one streak as it did right here. Then it just sold off, so maybe it might not be able to uptrend much more. I'm not sure. Yeah, this one had a run up too and never really came back and tried to bounce again. So that's something that's not too nice with this one for that kind of setup. And then this one is more of an uptrending setup, how it tried to break above this, I guess this 1.2 cent resistance level, and it got above it briefly, and then it kind of, in my mind, would be nice if it could come back and then maybe get really low around 1 penny and then, or maybe below it, and then eventually try to reverse again. That could be a setup for a longer period of time. That's pretty much it for right now. I'll keep looking at GTII and yeah, maybe I can find a longer term setup. Alright, it is 9:55 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, today I'm going to be down $1.09, and that is two trades with GTII. And I'm going to try to be less jaded. I do have a swing trade with CRTD. At least I'm going to be holding this over the weekend. Essentially, I was just too jaded, but it wasn't horrible the way I traded. First of all, I didn't trade the morning panic bounce play here because I was jaded, but it did work out, and I'm glad it worked out. I guess I could still try short-term setups that are very quick, but I wanted something that would work over a longer period of time, and that's when I did take this one trade right here with this higher low in mind, and it did work in that it got to VWAP too quickly, but I wanted it to have, taken its time because then I would have thought it was more legitimate. It would uptrend better. So maybe in the future, if I get a setup like this, I might sell everything or maybe just half of my position because I'm not liking the price action. And it did break the range low, but just briefly. It didn't really break it and continue the downtrend, which is fine. And then I did try it again, that other trade. Let me see if I have a screenshot of that one right here. I had that next trade right here, and again, I was kind of jaded because it was looking like that big selling price action was getting out of the way, and I got in once it broke this level right here. And what happened was is that it came back. Similar thing. I could have maybe, if I just didn't like the price action, maybe I thought, or at least I was thinking that, maybe it's just going to briefly break this level. Big selling price action comes back. Maybe people show up at the ask, and then it sells off, and then it continues the downtrend and officially break this low right here. So I could have just maybe have sold half of my position, and then that would have allowed me to have, have some exposure to the move it did ultimately make to this $2 level. So that's something I could try to do better. And I did trade CRTD for that setup I was talking about. Oh no, it looks like the charts are broken now. Because E-Trade Pro always has a broken looking chart when there's like a day off on a day that should normally be a trading day, a market day. I did buy 50 shares. This was not like $100 risk low. This was like, I don't know, a $10 risk low, just something small because I'm gonna try to do setups that take more time to play out. And I was in 50 shares at 109 and a half at 1032, so that was right here. Again, seeing that it was maybe going to break above a $1.10 level right here, but I wasn't too sure of it. I just liked how it was holding above a dollar where it was on a chart, at least looking at this chart right here. and I got in roughly around right here. And yeah, it did make a move as high as the 120s, which was cool because it got there pretty quickly. But I did do the thing that I was talking about with GTII where I did sell some of my position, and it was just a fifth. I sold 10 shares at 11.36, which was right here, and that was at 116. So right here is when I sold my shares, 11.36, and I want to see if this thing can continue to hold above $1, and then ideally maybe try to uptrend and make a leg up. Again, I like how I had a peak right here at 170, and then we had two, which kind of means to me at least that it's stronger looking. It doesn't have to work out. It could gap down on Monday, and that would stink, but this one doesn't really seem to do that so much, to gap up or down. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just holding on to a small position with CRTD, and then two trades with GTII that I could have done better, and then one I missed out because I was a bit jaded. But I think the lessons are there, and that's all I have for today.